I got to go what I wanted to do.
So you joined the Navy?
Yeah.
You weren't drafted, you joined them?
Oh, no, I wasn't drafted yet then.
Okay.
So I worked there. Well, went to boot camp in San Diego, and then after boot camp, I went over to the island there for Mexico, and then I got assigned to for a dive bombing squadron. So I went there till stayed there. Our carrier was up in Bremerton to get some repairs. So when we were when they bombed Pearl Harbor, they said, "Well, we got to go to Hawaii." Our squadron went with Doolittle when he made his trip to Japan, and my squadron went on the Enterprise with that one to because the carrier had his bomber zone. There wasn't any. They didn't have no way to fly patrols on it because them bombers took up all the room. So when they got back to Pearl Harbor, well, they had the Navy had kind of broke the Japanese's code, and they figured out that they were going to attack the Midway Islands. So the Enterprise came back, and the Hornet, and so they pulled the Yorktown into the dry docks there, and they thought it would take about a month to repair it, but Nimitz was ahead of and he told them they had 3 days.
3 days to do a month's work, huh?
Yeah. My squadron was about the first one that got to the Jap carriers. My squadron and the Enterprise dive bombers sank 3 of the carriers in about 10 minutes. Yorktown was attacked by torpedo planes and dive bombers, and was damaged, but they got it going again. And then they Japs off this one carrier made another attack on it before our dive bombers could get back to the carrier and rearm and everything and fly again. But they finally, our squadron, they flew back to the Enterprise, so it got sunk.
So did you end up in the water? They had to rescue you off of it?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't say that. I missed that part.
Well, we had ropes that would go down the flight deck was about 60 foot above the water. So to get down, we had to go down a rope or something. And they had the cruisers and the destroyers. They launched boats, and they came and picked guys up out of the water.
Did the Yorktown sink, Mr. Meek?
Well, it didn't right then, but it was damaged pretty bad, and so they had hit it with torpedoes again and bombs again, and it was in bad shape and listed a whole lot. And then they tried to pump the water and oil and level it out again, but it had been damaged so bad that they abandoned the ship, and the crew got off, and they was destroyers and heavy cruisers and light cruisers picked up everybody that got off. There was a lot of the dead they left aboard, and there was two guys that was down in the sick bay they had a lot of damage done, so they wasn't going. They thought they was going to die, and they left them on there. So one of them woke up, and wasn't nobody there but him. So he gets up on the flight deck, and so there was a destroyer out there close that was watching this carrier, and there was a 50 caliber machine gun on a post. So he got that machine gun and started firing some shots out across there. Let them know that there's somebody on there who was still alive. So they got him at Midway battle. While they were working on the Yorktown, trying to get it where they could tow it back to the States, there was a tin can pulled up beside of it, and was first the power to pump the oil and water from one side to the other, to level it up.
Mm-hmm.
And they was going to tow it for a while, and there was supposed to be they sent a tug out from Pearl to tow it back to Pearl Harbor. But this tin can was up beside it, and a submarine slipped in, fired four torpedoes, and two of them went under the tin can and hit the Yorktown, and two of them, one of them missed, and one of them hit the destroyer. But it hit the magazine when it hit, and it blew that destroyer half in two. And it sank in about 3 minutes.
Wow.
Really?
And so I got back to San Francisco. Well, the first day I got there, I couldn't go ashore because I didn't have any dress uniforms. So I had to buy me some dress uniforms, and I went to, next night I went to town in San Francisco, and I was going to eat me a steak, because I hadn't had nothing like that for over 2 years. And it was all either canned meat or something. That's all we had on the carrier. We didn't have any refrigeration or nothing, no fresh. It was just all dried and canned. Mm-hmm. So, well, I went in a cafe and I ordered a steak, and the waitress said, "Well, this is meatless night. Just certain days in the week that they can serve meat." So I looked on the menu, and it said half a head of lettuce. Well, I hadn't had any fresh vegetables or nothing for over 2 years, so I ordered half a head of lettuce, and I thought that was, there ain't no steak would be ever as good as that was.
That's a good story.
It was good.
Did you finally get a steak?
Well, yeah, I finally did. But it didn't. That steak didn't impress me like that head of lettuce did.
When you heard that Pearl Harbor got bombed, how did you react?
Well, I realized that we were gonna go to war. I knew that. And so when we left that island and got out to sea, and I looked back to that California coast, and I prayed that I would see it one more time. So I did.